The candidates for Southern Miami-Dade State Senate District 38 have a lot in common. Two young Cuban Americans, FIU grads, both first-time candidates, both have worked in government and public service.
But their campaign trail has taken a very nasty turn. Accusations, finger-pointing, personal attacks have characterized this race today. Both have accepted our invitation to our somewhat informal debate. Ms. Calatayud was Director of Policy and Programs at the Florida Department of Education. She is Republican. Ms. Perez is a Democrat, the mother of two, the owner of a Medicare HMO. She previously worked in Washington for Representative Ileana Ross-Layton. And both candidates, so welcome. We are so glad you were here. Good morning.
You know, may I just say that in this time and space politically that we're in, we are very grateful and appreciative that you both stepped up to the plate and you're here together. You have so much in common. You're both bright and capable. So Alexis, just for top to bottom sake and alphabet sake, why don't you go first with this same question? What is the difference here in your ability and plan to represent this district?
Glenna, Michael, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today. Let me share a little bit of who I am. Alexis Calatayud, born and raised here in Miami, Florida. I went to FIU. I've dedicated the last 10 years of my life to education advocacy, to fighting for low-income students and first-generation college students in Washington and in Tallahassee. I've dedicated the last 2 years of my life as the Director of Policy and youngest senior staffer at the Florida Department of Education to helping reopen our schools across the state during the pandemic. I was also responsible for our budget advocacy for the entire public education system. We achieved the two highest public education budgets in the history of our state. Also a $2 billion teacher salary increase statewide. There's so much more to do. I'm running because our community deserves a voice of common sense in the Florida legislature.
So Alexis, I don't mean to interrupt, and thank you for that introduction, and we're going to call that an opening statement. So Janelle, why don't you make an opening statement? But I really do want to hear the differences that you think you have from your opponent as an answer after that. So Janelle, do you have an opening statement you would like to make?
Yeah, thank you both so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm glad that my opponent showed up this time. So I'm really excited to be able to talk to folks about who I am and what I stand for. I'm a mom, I'm a cancer survivor, and I'm a business owner here in Miami-Dade. And I want to represent this community in the way that it deserves to be represented, because we haven't had that in a long time. And the clear differences between us are our values, our principles, and our morals. In this race, I'm the only homeowner, the only business owner, the parent. And, you know, when I go up to Tallahassee, I'm going to have real world experience to be able to address the issues that are impacting every single Floridian right now.
Ms. Calatayud, let me ask you, you are the sort of, as it were, the victim or the target of some really nasty ads run by your opponent. Conversely, she's running these ads about you. And one of the ads, in fact, that you are running about Ms. Perez, accuses her, she owns a Medicaid HMO, of denying benefits to seniors, profiting royally from it. And then, frankly, I look at that ad and I see it as homophobic. Why are you running this ad?
I believe that Janelle's business very clearly, through the Office of Insurance Regulation documents, financial documents, profits off our elderly and sick by refusing their benefits. I welcome District 38 to explore these documents for themselves. I disagree with your assertion of homophobia in these ads completely. These are focused on the business that she claims to own and the impact it has on our community.
Yeah, well, let me just say, there is a shot in the ad of Janelle and another woman, I believe is her wife. In any event, she's smoking a cigar, looking kind of proud of herself and lovey-dovey, as it were. I don't see how that's relevant to a campaign. I mean, that's why I say it strikes me as homophobic.
I completely disagree. I don't think a photo of Janelle and her wife could ever be homophobic.
Janelle, you know, you do have a business that is a Medicare HMO. I think everyone who's listening to this program who is fortunate enough to have insurance has experienced some cancellations or denials of coverage. That's sort of SOP for insurance. So since this was brought up, I'd like to give you a minute or so to address those allegations.
Absolutely. So my opponent knows, and the Republican Party knows, that those allegations are completely false, and they're actually fraudulent with intent to mislead this community. That line item and that claim that they seem to be using is taken from that OIR report, and I do welcome all Floridians to take a look at it. It is a line item that says claims unpaid, and those reflect medical claims that the company has approved the services for, but hasn't received the medical claims for them yet. So it's listed in the liabilities of the company's financial statement. And I am one of the owners. I am not the owner of the company. And that photo that she uses is actually me celebrating when I beat my cancer. And I'm wearing a hat because I'm covering my chemo hair. So.
Yeah. Janelle, if I may, fair is fair. Let me ask you, your campaign is running some really tough ads, nasty ads about Ms. Calatayud. In one, it sort of accuses her family, not her personally, but of some kind of criminal wrongdoing in the past. Why did you sort of resort to this kind of an attack?
Well, my opponent started off her commercials saying that she learned everything about the American dream from her family and her grandfather and her father. I think voters should know about the history of their American dream and how they attained it. My opponent is going after my family's business and me personally, and has done some pretty nasty attacks that have led to death threats against me and my children. So I think with her strategy and her tactics, you know, we should bring that to light. We should bring to light how she learned and who she really is and what their values are. But again, I absolutely hate that we are sitting here talking about these mudslingings between the two of us when we can actually be talking about the issues that are impacting Floridians.
You know what? I wholeheartedly agree with that, and we're going to be doing that. But I do want to give Alexis a chance to respond to that.
Thank you, Glenna. I think it's important to unpack that piece by piece. So I think my opponent is lying to herself and lying to the community about how her healthcare company has denied benefits for profit. It's period. Fact checked.
Alexis, your father was convicted. Alexis, your father was factually convicted of Medicare fraud.
I'm sorry. So my father has never been arrested or convicted for Medicare fraud. My father's name is Calatayud. So let's work through the family question. So the reality is my opponent is irresponsible and reckless on attacking an 83-year-old man's arrest, not convictions, regarding issues of his life. The reality is she cannot attack the sterling public service and professional record of the 29-year-old woman running for office. It is a desperate attempt to try to find something to connect to my name, instead of the reality that she has no professional or public service achievements to run on.
Okay, so
Alexis,
I want to
I want
to just
over
excuse
200
me,
people in Miami-Dade.
Janelle, excuse me for 1 second. I just want to fact check that in the Miami-Dade State court records, clerk of court records is that record. Just wanted to lay that out there. To be fair to you both and to be more fair to the constituents, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and talk all issues for the whole next segment. And I thank you both for sticking with us.
Welcome back. On this Sunday, we are speaking to the two candidates in State Senate District 38 in South Miami-Dade, Alexis Calatayud and Janelle Perez. Ms. Perez, let me ask you, I'm going to ask you both. If you had been a member of the state Senate in this past session, when the abortion bill came up setting a limit of 15 weeks for an abortion without any exceptions for rape or incest, Janelle, how would you have voted on that?
I would have voted no against. I would have voted against that bill. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Alexis, how would you have voted?
I would have advocated for an amendment for an exemption for rape, incest, and survivors of human trafficking. The policy of 15 weeks, when you research, our CDC says that 93.9% of abortions in the United States takes place by 13 weeks. So 15 weeks amounts to 94% access, plus in the policy, access for fatal fetal abnormality at any time, and bodily harm and life of the mother at any time. This is the same policy as half of Western European countries. This is a common sense policy that I support.
Alexis, to your point, there was an amendment floated for exceptions for crime victims, and actually 2 Republican senators who were women voted for that amendment that ultimately failed. The education component of this past session, I know, Alexis, you are in education by trade. There were 2 bills that addressed how to teach racial history, how to teach sex and gender identity. This week, the Department of Education framed rules for that, very contentious bills. Alexis, I know you are in favor of both of those bills that ultimately became law and are the law right now. Do you see the chilling effect that some teachers have been complaining these laws might have when it comes to teaching those things in good faith?
In my role at the Department of Education, after not this legislative session, but last in 2021, I played a role in communicating with school districts on implementation. It's very important that the Department of Education and the school districts continue having clear understanding of what implementation of this policy looks like. To be very clear, this policy says that classroom instruction must be age and developmentally appropriate, not classroom conversation, not classroom discussion, instruction. I believe that's common sense policy.
Yeah, absolutely, understood. And the question was more the vagueness and the consequences and punishment that are attached. We have had teachers saying that they are unsure of what to do and they're afraid of saying certain things. So this chilling effect is sort of the question, how do you address that?
Exactly like I mentioned, the process for every single education bill, not just this policy, is clear communication from the guidance, the administrative rule and the regulation of the Department of Education with the school districts and individual schools.
Janelle, you have been a leader in several LGBTQ organizations. You've spoken out. You've been an advocate for the gay community. When you look at the bill, the Parental Rights in Education bill, it doesn't ever say gay in the bill, but you find that is at least implicitly an attack on gay people?
I think I don't think I have to interpret that. We already have the answers to that. We saw what is happening across the state of Florida, where we are now taking rainbows out of classrooms. We are taking away LGBTQ History Month. We are taking away the stickers on the doors that say this is a safe environment, everyone is welcome. These pieces of legislation that we can all acknowledge are terribly written, have led to tremendous consequences. And as a mother, I feel like, we are putting our kids in danger. We are putting our children should always be our top priority.
Yeah. How are they in danger? Explain that.
Well, the suicide rate in LGBTQ kids and LGBTQ youth is enormous. I mean, we've seen just this past year the rise in suicide rates and suicide attempts in teens in the state of Florida. I believe that this is a direct result of the legislation and, quite frankly, the rhetoric being spewed out by the Republican Party. How did we go from 10 years ago being having Mitt Romney and Barack Obama on TV saying their favorite show on TV was Modern Family, to today where we are now, you know, banning books, rewriting history? How did we get here? And quite frankly, it's scary. And this is again why I'm running, because our children, the next generation, deserve better.
Number one issue for Floridians in your district as well is the rising cost of living. Property insurance, a huge part of that for so many. Special session coming up before the end of the year. Alexis, Calatayud, can you give an idea or two on what policies might start to bring those down?
Absolutely, Glenna. Especially now after Hurricane Ian, we feel even more the necessity to have to make incredible changes within our property insurance structures. I've personally knocked 8,000 doors in our community in the last 5 months. And over the last 4 years, 38,000 doors.
Wow.
I've seen the progression of year over year of folks telling me that their property insurance has increased 30% every year. This is something affecting everyone in our working and middle class. What I hope to do in Tallahassee is bring all the stakeholders to the table and work on the most pressing challenges.
Do you have an idea or two? Because those stakeholders have been at that table and here we are.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, how about if I may say, there is a suggestion that any insurance company that sells auto insurance to people ought to also offer property insurance. What about that?
Absolutely, Michael. So that is one of my number one priority goals, so that our insurance companies put their skin in the game if they're going to insure in Florida across the spectrum. We also need to make sure we're finding ways to eliminate fraud in our community. And the last piece, very important, Florida has 16% of all the insured property in the United States, but 76% of all the litigation costs. We need to curb our incredibly litigious environment. And I'd like to point out—
I'm so sorry for interrupting. We just have this much time, and I really want to give Janelle a crack at this question.
I'd like to just finish with, the reality is my opponent has accepted tens of thousands of dollars from the trial bar. And I do not imagine she will be an advocate for our consumers against their interests.
Well, Janelle, you want to answer that?
One of the things you don't know about me is that I can't be bought. Yes, I've made it very, very clear where I stand. And I think when it comes to homeowners insurance, there's a lot of things that need to get done. The Florida legislature has had plenty of time to do that. While Alexis was up there, she had plenty of time to do that with her former boss. But now we have the highest property insurance rates in the nation. Instead of doing their job, they've ignored this unaffordability crisis, and they've continued to make it worse. Homeowners across the state, Alexis has knocked on 8,000 doors. I've knocked on over 40,000 doors this election cycle. We need to cap rate hikes. Yes, we need to bring consumer advocates. We need to bring tort reform advocates. We need to bring everyone to the table. And we need to actually guarantee from every insurance company who gets bailed out by our state, because we had the largest bailout last legislative session, to actually stay in this state. And if they're going to take our taxpayer dollars, they need to stay here for at least 10 years or give us our money back.
All right, those are all viable ideas. We'll see what happens. There is a special session coming up. We are so glad that you both joined us today. Very lively debate, and we appreciate both of your participation.
Thank you.